Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm going to break down compression. I want to make this as simple as possible for you to understand, so that this way, next time you use a compressor, you actually understand the principles behind it, and you're no longer worried about what all these numbers and knobs do, but you can actually understand it in a simple way that's going to help you apply it to whatever situation you're at. So hopefully by the end of this, you don't have to watch any more compression videos. I'm going to make this very simple for you. This is how I look at it, so let's dive right in. So I'll be working with this random loop that I just made just to show you the principles. So just take a quick listen. Cool. So this is what we're going to be working with. Now, the way I see compression, I use it for two main purposes, okay? So you're going to want to remember this. The first purpose is to literally compress the sound and make it more even. So what does that mean? It means we're going to raise the loud parts down, we're going to reduce the loud parts, and we're going to raise the quiet parts. So this way, they're coming together and compressing into a nice, happy medium, which is going to give us a more consistent, leveled out sound, right? So what's a good example of when we would do this? Well, we would want to do this on a melody where there are fluctuation with the notes, and we want to make them more consistent and even so they're all equally heard. So let's take this melody, and we're going to actually apply this type of compression to this melody right here. So I'm just going to use Ableton's stock compressor. Let's turn this on. And as you can see, there's only a few knobs. So very simply, what they do is you have your attack time. The attack basically controls how quickly this needle over here is going to kick in and actually compress the sound, right? So this is going to control how quickly it comes down and compresses. The release time is going to control how quickly it lets go and it stops compressing, right? And then we have our ratio down here, which is basically, think of it as intensity. A smaller number ratio is going to be less intense, and as you bring it higher, it's going to be more intense. So we'll just leave this in the middle, standard amount. And then finally we have our threshold. The threshold is going to basically set the bar. So if we set the bar to a certain point, that means if the signal level crosses that threshold, then the compression will actually kick in. Okay? So let's actually see this in action. So what we want to do is, the first type of compression here is we want to level out this melody. So let's take a listen to it. So we're going to make these notes more even with each other and really make them pop out and feel more sustained and consistent. So we're going to want to actually do this. We're going to first start off with our attack time. We're going to want to use a faster attack time. Now, why do we want to do a faster attack time? Because that means it's going to immediately compress, right? So let's just make the attack time as fast as possible. So I'm going to bring it all the way to the left where it says 0.1. That means 0.1 milliseconds, okay? That's the fastest attack, right? 0.1 milliseconds is much faster than, say, 30 milliseconds. So we're going to bring it all the way down here to make it very fast. And then for our release time, we're going to make it extremely slow. We're going to go to 1.2 seconds, the slowest release time, right? As opposed to 0.1. That's the fastest release time. We're going to bring it all the way to the slowest release time. So this way we can kind of see it in an extreme scenario. And let's go ahead and play. And we're going to actually look at this needle here. We're going to see how far it's coming down and actually compressing. So the numbers on this graph will show you how much dB is actually being reduced. So let's actually take a look at that. Notice nothing's happening, and that's because our threshold is all the way at 0, which is really high. So we need to actually pull our threshold down until we start seeing a good amount of gain reduction. Now, a good number to aim for, it really depends. For this purpose, we want to be a little more extreme, so I'm going to pull it down to like around maybe 6 dB. I want to see around 5 to 10 dB of gain reduction just to show you. So let's pull the threshold down until we start seeing that. So now you can see it's compressing quite a bit, and the sound has completely changed as well. And it's also gotten quieter because, you know, it's being massively compressed. So that's where makeup gain comes in. This is where we compensate for the reduction. So because we're getting around 5 to 10, we also want to add makeup gain of the equivalent. So we can put it around 7 dB of makeup gain. This way it kind of brings it back and compensates for that volume loss. So now let's check it out. So there we go. Let's bypass it and hear it with and without. And with compression. One more time without. And with. So as you can see, the notes are coming out more, they're all a lot more present. Everything is kind of leveled up and is more consistent. Now obviously this is a little bit extreme, so I'm going to take the threshold, I'm going to bring it higher, so we're only getting around like 3 to 5 dB of compression. That's a good amount to generally aim for. I'm going to pull the makeup gain down as well. Let's check it out with and without again. This is without. And with. So this is a subtle difference, but in the context of a mix where there's a lot of other things going on, this is going to help to level out all these notes so they're all clear and they're present in the mix. So this is an example of the first way to use a compressor, is to actually compress the sound, make it more even and more sustained and consistent, right? That's the first method. So all you have to remember for this is faster attack so that it kicks in quickly with a slower release so it takes longer to let go. That's going to create that compressed, sustained, consistent sound. So that's all you have to remember for this type of compression. Now, the other type of compression is going to actually be the opposite effect. And this is where we're going to actually want to create more dynamics and bounce. Actually make the music pop out of the speakers as if it's breathing and moving, creating that three-dimensional effect. So this is something that I like to do on drums and things that have a rhythmic feel to it. So we're going to actually apply opposite principles to achieve this effect. Let's take this drum loop. So now it sounds a little stale and dull, so let's actually give it that pumping, breathing movement to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually use the slowest attack time. That means it's going to take longer for the compression to kick in, so this will allow each hit from the drum, each transient to pass through, and then the needle will come down right after that. And then we're going to give it a very fast release, so that it immediately lets go. So this way it's almost like pushing the sound out of the speakers, right? So with the slowest attack, this allows room for the transients to come in. Then the attack will follow that and it'll quickly release so that it doesn't sustain the sound, but it actually pushes it out, right? So check this out. So slowest attack, fastest release. And again, we're going to bring our threshold down so we actually see this in action. And let's give a proper makeup gain as well to make up for the volume difference. Now check this out. So this is without it. And this is with. You can hear that the drums are more pumpy. They're kind of more intense sounding. They're kind of popping out of the speakers. You can even see the needle moving. It's taking a little longer to come down and it quickly lets go. So it creates that pumping, breathing type motion. So one more time without. And with. So now let's pull the threshold up so we don't have too much going on. So this is without. drums are popping out more, they feel more bouncy. This is a great technique to use on any kind of rhythmic instrument. This will really help pop out of the speakers. So this is the second way of compressing, right? Creating that bounce, that more dynamic feel. So the principle behind this is, again, to do a slower attack so you allow the transients to come through and breathe with a faster release so that it immediately lets go, so it's pushing the sound out of the speakers, okay? And you just have to adjust your threshold so that you get a decent amount of gain reduction, but not too much, and then make up gain to compensate to bring the volume back up, and boom. Those are the two main principles behind using compression. That's the very simple way that I look at it, and hopefully this helps you demystify the way you look at compression. You don't need to overcomplicate things. You have to look at the musicality and the principle behind it first and ask yourself, why am I doing something? Am I trying to compress it and make it more even and leveled out? Or am I trying to add bounce and pump it out of the speakers more? Those are the questions you want to be asking yourself next time you pull up a compressor, rather than just doing it just because you feel like you're supposed to. So those are my reasons, my principles. Hopefully this helps you with your music. Try it out. Try this out on your drums. Try this out on your lead instruments that you want to make more even. Let me know how it goes. Comment below if you want to see other videos on other topics. Just let me know. I'll be happy to address them. If you enjoyed this and you want more one-on-one guidance with me personally, you can click the link in the description. You and I can talk one-on-one together on a free strategy call. So thank you for watching, and until next time.